founder of House Lannister, Lann the Clever, never called himself a king. Yes, he was rich and powerful, but the men of the West never paid fealty to him, though some tales, told centuries later, have conferred the styling of king on him because in effect he was the king of the Westerlands. The first true Lannister king we know of is Lorian Lannister, also known as Lorian the Lion. A number of Lannisters through the centuries have been dubbed the Lion or the Golden, for understandable reasons. Lorian made the old and powerful Reigns of Castamere his vassal by marrying a daughter of that house, and he defeated the hooded king Morgan Banefort and his thralls in a war that lasted 20 years. Lorian might have been the first Lannister king to style himself King of the Rock, but it was a title that his sons and grandsons and their successors continued to bear for thousands of years. However, the boundaries of their kingdom did not reach their full scope until the arrival of the Andal invaders. The Andals came late to the Westerlands, long after they had taken the Vale, and toppled the kingdoms of the first men in the Riverlands. The first Andal warlord to march an army through the hills met a bloody end at the hands of King Tybalt Lannister. The second and third attacks were dealt with likewise, but as more and more Andals began moving west in bands larger and larger, King Tyrion III and his son, Gerald II, saw their doom ahead. Rather than attempting to throw back these invaders, these wise kings arranged marriages for the more powerful of the Andal war chiefs with the daughters of great houses of the West. Cautious men, and well aware of what happened in the Vale, they took care to demand a price for these marriages. The sons and daughters of the Andal lords, so ennobled, were taken as wards and fosterlings to serve as squires and pages and cupbearers in Casterly Rock and as hostages, should their fathers prove treacherous. In time, Lannister kings wed their children to Andals as well. Indeed, when Gerald III died without a male issue, a council crowned his only daughter's husband, Sir Joffrey Lannard, who took the name Lannister and became the first Andal to rule the Rock. Other noble houses were also born in such unions, such as Jast, Lefford, Parrin, Drox, Marband, Brax, Cerrit, Sarsfield, and thus revitalised the kings of the Rock, expanded their realms still further. Tyrion Lannister extended his rule as far east as Golden Tooth and its surrounding hills, defeating 3 lesser kings when they made an alliance against him. Tommen Lannister, the first of his name, built a great fleet and brought Fair Isle into the realm, taking the daughter of the last farming king to wife. Lorian II had the first ever tourney seen in the Westerlands, defeating every knight who rode against him. The first Lancel Lannister rode to war against the Gardener kings of Highgarden and conquered the reach as far south as Old Oak, before being felled in battle. His son, Lorian III, lost all his father had gained and earned the mocking name Lorian the Limp. King Gerald Lannister, known as Gerald the Great, sailed to the Iron Islands and returned with 100 ironborn hostages, promising to hang one every time the Ironmen dared raid their shores. True to his word, Gerald hung more than 20 of the hostages. Lancel IV is said to have beheaded the ironborn king Harold Half-Drowned and its heir with a single stroke of his Valyrian steel sword, Bright Roar, at the Battle off Land's Point. He later died in the Battle of Red Lake whilst attempting to invade the Reach. Some of the Lannister kings were famed for their wisdom, some for their valour, all for their open-handedness, save perhaps King Norwin Lannister, better known as Norwood the Niggardly. Yet Casterly Rock also housed many a weak, cruel, and feeble king. Lorian IV, better known as Lorian the Lackwit, and his grandson Lorian V, who was dubbed Queen Loria and was fond of dressing in his wife's clothes and wandering the docks of Lannisport in the guise of a common prostitute. After their reigns, the name Lorian became noticeably less common amongst the Lannisters, despite its historical significance. A later monarch, Tyrion II, was known as the Tormentor. Though a strong king, famed for his prowess with a battle axe, his true delight was torture, and it was whispered of him that he desired no woman unless he first made her bleed. Ultimately, the Lannister domains extended from the western shores to the headwaters of the Red Fork and Tumblestone, marked by a pass beneath the Golden Tooth, and from the southern shore of Iron Man's Bay to the borders of the Reach. The boundaries of the Westerlands today follows those of the Kingdom of the Rock, as it was before the Field of Fire, when King Lorian Lannister knelt as a king and rose a lord. But in bygone days these boundaries were more fluid, particularly to the south, where the Lannisters often contended against the Gardeners in the Reach, and to the east, where they warred against the many kings of the Trident. In addition, the Lannister coastline lay closer to the Iron Islands than it did any other kingdom, and the wealth of Lannisport and its trade was a constant temptation to the Reavers, who called the Isles home. Wars between the Westermen and the Ironborn erupted every few generations. Even during periods of peace, the Ironmen came raiding after wealth and salt wives. Fair Isle did help shield the coast further south. For this reason, the farmers become famous for the hatred of the Ironborn. The great wealth of the Westerlands, of course, stems primarily from their gold and silver mines. The veins of ore run wide and deep. Lomas Longstrider reports that even in far Shy by the Shadow, there were merchants who asked them if it was true that the Lion Lord lived in a palace of solid gold, and that the crofters collected a wealth of gold simply by ploughing their fields. The gold of the West has travelled far, and the Macers know there are no mines in all the world as rich as those of Casterly Rock, and it's that gold which has powered House Lannister for generations.